So today we're going to talk about the Consumer Price Index, an analysis of the CPI report released in October 2015. This presentation is sponsored by AEDU. The Consumer Price Index is a measure of the annual change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. Most of the CPI indexes use 1982 to 1984 as its reference base, the cost of basket in base year. So the CPI measures inflation as experienced by consumers in their day-to-day lives. In order to calculate CPU, you take the cost of the basket in the current year, divided by the cost of basket in the base year, and multiply it by 100. So let's examine the CPI for all urban consumers in October 2015 and compare it to the previous month. According to the chart, the index for food increased by almost 0.4 points, as indicated by my cursor. Medical services increased by almost 4 points, and transportation services increased by almost 2 points. Transportation is right here, as indicated by my cursor. This means that over the time period of 1 month, the amount of money needed to buy a certain product increased. For example, let's use groceries. The amount of money a family paid to buy groceries cost $600 in September of 2015. In just 1 month, the amount of money to buy the same amount of groceries increased by $1.01. So just in the span of 30 days, the overall money you needed to dish out increased by $1. So imagine how much it increased in just 1 year. Already, families are finding it hard to make some extra cash for their families. And with rising prices, it might be harder for families to compensate. So one benefit that we could see from this chart is that the index for energy decreased by almost 6 points. Right here, as where my cursor is pointing. This means that the amount of money to buy energy decreased substantially from September to October. So how much inflation has occurred in this 12-month time period? So the CPI-U for October of 2015 was 237.838. The CPI in October of 2014 was 237.433. This means that the rate of inflation for this 12-month period is 0.2%. So this chart indicates a 12-month percentage change in CPI from January of 2014 to October of 2015. As you can see, in May of 2014, the inflation rate was a little over 2%, which is the recommended amount as the FOMC recommended, 2%. That's because at 2%, it's a steady rate of inflation that encourages economic growth in the country while ensuring that wages and prices can match that inflation rate. So it made an enormous drop in November of 2014, from here all the way to here to January. It started fluctuating around after January, still stayed on the negative side. Then it went up after May. By September, the inflation rate as a 12-month percentage change reached 0%. In October, as we just calculated, it reached to 0.2%. So the goal of the FOMC is to reach an inflation rate of 2%. Last year, the U.S. achieved this goal. The Fed did. However, this coming year, in October, we can see that we are far away from our desired result of 2%. And that the FOMC, the Fed, needs to take action in order to increase the inflation rate to the recommended level and ensure price stability and maximum employment. While the CPI appears to be increasing, as we can see from 0 to 0.2%, it might just as well just go back down to 0%. We don't know, based on the data that we've collected. So the FOMC will need to take appropriate action, perhaps decrease the Fed funds rate in order to encourage more investment and increase inflation to the recommended amount. So thank you for watching. My name is Vinay Gonagonla, and if you have to make a presentation on the analysis of CPI, I recommend it doing this way. If you want, you could take a little bit of a deeper analysis and do it section by section: food, energy, all items less food and energy. Use those 3 sections and analyze it that way. So I look forward to teaching the next presentation with you guys.